Good evening. Welcome to Loveworld USA News. I'm Barbara Sam. First, a quick look at the top stories this evening. Philadelphia Eagles win Super Bowl 59. Fans celebrate in the street. President Trump fills pre-Super Bowl interview and declares February 9th Gulf of America Day. Democrats threaten government shutdown over Trump's administration agencies overhaul. China to implement retaliatory tariffs as U.S.-China trade tensions escalate. African leaders call for immediate ceasefire in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. And now to the news. The Philadelphia Eagles triumphed over the Kansas City Chiefs in Super Bowl 59 on Sunday night, securing a thrilling victory that ignited celebrations throughout Philadelphia. The Eagles' win marked a significant achievement for the team and its fans, sending the city into a frenzy as fans flooded the streets to celebrate their team's success. As the Eagles clinched the win, chaos quickly ensued in the heart of the city center, where exuberant fans took to the streets in celebration. The situation quickly escalated into disorder, with fans pulling traffic poles, towels, and sheets from a box truck and setting them on fire. Police intervened using fire extinguishers to put out the flames and pushing back crowds to restore order. As the night wore on, the Philadelphia Police Department worked to disperse the crowds in Philadelphia, along with Philadelphia police issuing 29 code violation notices, including fines for property damage, sidewalk maintenance, personal misconduct, and tobacco violations. A total of 9 people were arrested during the night, 5 for assaulting police officers, and 4 were charged with various charges, including reckless endangerment, aggravated assault, and disorderly conduct. Despite the late-night celebration, city offices and service operated on a regular schedule today. While some school districts opted for a delayed start, the School District of Philadelphia opened its doors as usual. While the celebrations were memorable, Philadelphia remains to focus on returning to regular routines, with excitement still in the air after the Eagles' triumphant Super Bowl victory. Let's take a look at the highlights of the game.
Mahomes throws corner. It is caught for the touchdown. We're going to go for 2 here. Mahomes rolling, pressure, throws, and it's caught, but there's a penalty flag. Uh-oh. Good move there. Oh. Great maneuver. A little okey doke. Mahomes still in the game. Back to throw. Loading up, going to take a shot for Worthy deep down the field. He's got it. Wow. Mahomes will throw it, and Hopkins comes down with it. For the second time, the Vince Lombardi Trophy is headed to Philadelphia. Eagles fly in Super Bowl 59.
Ahead of Super Bowl 59, President Donald Trump sat down for exclusive pregame interview with Fox News' Brett Baier, where he shared insights into his administration's ongoing efforts to enhance government efficiency and tackle waste within federal agencies. During the interview, Trump addressed several key issues, including his proposal to make Canada the 51st U.S. state. Trump confirmed that his idea was a real thing, explaining that Canada's natural resources, especially energy, play a significant role in his reasoning. Trump emphasized the trade gap, stating, "Why are we paying $200 billion a year, essentially a subsidy to Canada?" He argued that Canada would be much better off if it joined the United States, referring to the current trade dynamics between the two nations. President Trump also discussed his recent moves to address tariffs, stating that while a 30-day pause has been agreed with Mexico and Canada, a 25% tariff on all steel and aluminum imports from both countries would soon be announced. He also included a defense of Elon Musk and his efforts with the Department of Government Efficiency, also known as DOGE, which Trump praised as terrific. Musk has been at the center of controversy for his plans to eliminate waste in federal agencies, including the potential closure of the Department of Education and military restructuring. President Trump expressed confidence that Musk's initiative would uncover hundreds of billions of dollars in fraud and inefficiency, aligning with the president's campaign promise to streamline government operations. Trump's participation at the Super Bowl marked the first time a sitting president will do so. Let's take a look.
You are going to be the first sitting president to attend a Super Bowl. It's a big day for America, always is. What made you want to do it?
Well, first of all, I'm very surprised to hear that. I would have assumed many presidents came, but I think just the spirit of the country's taken on a whole new life. I thought it would be a good thing for the country to have the president be at the game.
It's an iconic day.
It's an iconic day. It's going to be a great game, two great teams, and let's see what happens.
You know, it seems the first days of this administration are like a no-huddle offense. You know, plays going down the field, one after another. There's a long list of things you've already got done in 3 weeks. Big border policy changes, ICE crackdowns on criminals, taking biological men out of women and girls sports, big energy policy changes. So what's different with you and your administration? The difference between the 45th president and the 47th president?
Well, with the 45th, I had tremendous opposition, but I didn't know people, and I didn't have the kind of support that I needed. I put people in office, some really great ones, but I had some that I wouldn't have put. I would have, known better if it were a couple of years later, or if I had a little more experience in D.C. I was a New York person, not a D.C. person. And I had a lot of opposition. I just noticed, I looked on the stage for the recent inauguration, and I'm looking, it's like a who's who of Washington. Well, if you look on the stage for the first one, it was just the opposite.
So some of your plays have raised some questions and had some pushbacks. 19 states' attorneys general filed a lawsuit, and early Saturday, a judge agreed with them to restrict Elon Musk and his government efficiency team, DOGE.
Meanwhile, President Trump has signed an executive order officially renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. The declaration coincided with Air Force One's flight over the body of water as the president made his way to New Orleans to attend Super Bowl 59. As the plane soared above the Gulf, Trump remarked that it was the perfect moment to announce the inaugural Gulf of America Day, celebrating American greatness and honoring the nation's heritage. While on the flight, he also fielded questions from reporters. Let's look.
And we're flying right over it right now. So we thought this would be appropriate. Even bigger than the Super Bowl. This is a big thing. And almost everybody now has assented to that.
Attention on board. Ladies and gentlemen, if you could please direct your attention out the right side of the aircraft. Air Force One is currently in international waters, for the first time in history, flying over the recently renamed Gulf of America. Please enjoy the flight, and we are now about to head westbound to Super Bowl 59.
Wow, he did that well. That's a good Make America great again, right? That's what we care about. Okay, here we go. So this is a famous pen now.
Senator Andy Kim, representing New Jersey, has expressed his openness to a potential government shutdown if President Donald Trump's administration continues its aggressive restructuring of federal agencies. Speaking on NBC News Meet the Press, Kim stated that Republicans should not count on Democratic votes to fund the government if the GOP persists in backing Trump's effort to dismantle key agencies. Kim highlighted the importance of holding Republicans accountable, particularly as the March 14th deadline approaches for government funding. He indicated that Democrats may deny Republicans the necessary votes for a continuing resolution which temporarily funds the government at the previous levels. if the Trump administration's action to shrink agencies like the U.S. Agency for International Development, known as USAID, and the Department of Education continued unchecked. They are simply trying to dismantle the government, Kim said, emphasizing that Democratic senators are prepared to use their leverage to halt these efforts. If we have to take steps to hold them accountable, I cannot support the efforts that continue this lawlessness that we're seeing in this administration, end quote, he said. As the March deadline looms, Kim remarks signal growing tensions within the Senate over how to handle the ongoing budget process amidst major policy disagreements. While some Democratic members have voiced their discontent through protests and rallies, it remains unclear whether a government shutdown will be the right course of action to address these grievances. Kim's call for action highlights a deepening rift in Washington as party lines become more entrenched on both sides of the debate surrounding Trump's controversial push to reshape the federal government. Let's take a look.
Because your colleague Jeff Merkley basically said he's prepared to try to shut down the government over some of these sledgehammer actions that he's seeing by Elon Musk. Are you prepared to shut down the government, to join Democratic colleagues who want to stand in the way of keeping the government open?
Well, you have to look at what the Trump administration is doing right now. They are simply trying to, they are simply trying to dismantle the government. So yes, look, if we have to take steps to be able to hold them accountable, use the leverage that we have to force it, I cannot support efforts that will continue this lawlessness that we're seeing when it comes to this administration's actions. And for us to be able to support government funding in that way, only for them to turn it around to dismantle the government, that is not something that should be allowed.
So just to be clear, Senator, you are open to voting yes to shut down the government, to make this point.
This is on them. This is about whether or not they can get the votes. They are the majority. And if they cannot govern, then you know, that's for the American people to see. But I worked in government. I worked through multiple government shutdowns. I would be the last person to want to get to that stage.
More news after this break. Stay with us.
The golden age of America begins right now. America's decline is over. We will be working to meet every crisis with dignity and power and strength. We will move with purpose and speed to bring back hope, prosperity, safety, and peace for citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed. For American citizens, January 20th, 2025 is Liberation Day. In everything we do, my administration will be inspired by a strong pursuit of excellence and unrelenting success. America will reclaim its rightful place as the greatest, most powerful, most respected nation on earth. I am with you. I will fight for you, and I will win for you. We will not be conquered. We will not be intimidated. We will not be broken, and we will not fail. From this day on, the United States of America will be a free, sovereign, and independent nation. We will stand bravely. We will live proudly. We will dream boldly, and nothing will stand in our way because we are Americans. The future is ours, and our golden age has just begun.
The U.S. military has intensified its surveillance activities along the U.S.-Mexico border in a push to gather intelligence on Mexican drug cartels. Over a span of 2 weeks, spy planes have conducted 18 missions, some reaching into international airspace around the Baja Peninsula. These flights were authorized as part of President Donald Trump's effort for ongoing efforts to combat drug trafficking and border security threats, marking a significant increase from the typical one mission per month. As the Trump administration expands its focus from overseas threats to address domestic concerns, such as cartel operations, the military is now taking a more prominent role in securing the southern border and collecting intelligence on criminal organizations. While U.S. forces have been instructed to support Border Patrol, they are prohibited from engaging in direct law enforcement actions like making arrests. However, the growing presence of the U.S. military in the region underscores the administration's commitment to tackling the drug cartels and protecting national security. Meanwhile, the U.S. government has officially designated various groups, including ISIS, Boko Haram, and Hamas, as foreign terrorist organizations due to their violent activities and threat to national security. This designation allows the U.S. government to use a range of measures to counter these organizations, such as freezing assets, restricting their access to resources, and limiting the ability of individuals and organizations to provide support to them. As far as the Mexican drug cartels, while President Trump has moved towards designating them as FTOs, this designation has raised concerns due to the complexity of dealing with groups that are primarily commercial, not ideological. Starting Monday, China will implement retaliatory tariffs on a range of U.S. products, escalating the ongoing trade tensions between the two countries. The new tariffs, which range from 10 to 15%, will target U.S. exports, including crude oil, liquefied natural gas, farm machinery, and other goods. This move follows the Trump administration's decision to impose a 10% tariff on Chinese goods, aimed at pressuring Beijing to do more to curb the flow of fentanyl-related chemicals into the United States. In addition to the new tariffs, China has taken further steps, including launching an antitrust investigation into Google and adding 2 more U.S. companies to its unreliable entities list. Beijing has also implemented stricter import controls on rare metals that are critical to global technology supply chains. The Trump administration tariffs target approximately $450 billion worth of Chinese goods, while China's tariffs are just applied to just $15 billion to $20 billion in American exports. For now, the effective tariff rate on U.S. imports to China remains lower than the U.S. tariffs on Chinese goods, but China's recent actions signal potential escalation. The trade friction comes at a difficult time for both economies. China has been struggling with a sluggish economy exacerbated by a real estate crisis, soaring debt, and deflation. Meanwhile, in the U.S., concerns about inflation are growing, and some analysts warn that further tariffs increase could hurt the economy. Despite these concerns, President Trump has made it clear that more tariffs are on the way. He announced plans to impose 25% tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports and has threatened additional tariffs on imports from Taiwan, Europe, and other regions. President Donald Trump has announced a halt on the production of new pennies, citing their higher production costs as a waste of taxpayer dollars. The president expressed his dissatisfaction with the ongoing minting of pennies, which cost more than 2 cents to produce. The initiative echoes the concerns raised by the Department of Government Efficiency, known as DOGE, which has repeatedly pointed out that pennies cost 3 cents to produce, contributing to an estimated $179 million in the fiscal year of 2023. This negative singerage has sparked a debate over the particularity and continued use of the 1-cent coin. The U.S. Mint's annual report has confirmed that it loses millions annually on penny production. In 2024, the Mint lost $85.3 million on nearly 3.2 billion pennies, counting a trend that the cost of minting pennies has exceeded their face value for nearly 2 decades. Historically, various lawmakers have introduced bills to halt penny production, but none of them have been successful. Senator John McCain, for instance, co-sponsored a bill in 2017 proposing a 10-year suspension of penny production, though it never gained enough traction. Several other countries, including Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, have successfully phased out their lowest denomination coin, showing that such a move can both be practical and effective. Watch this.
Other action from President Trump. He has directed the Treasury to stop making the penny, part of a broader effort to cut waste in the national budget. The U.S. Mint said in its 2024 annual report that it will cost 3.7 cents to produce and distribute a penny. That is up from more than 20% from the previous year. The higher costs are partially due to rising prices of metals like zinc and copper.
We'll be back after this break. The news continues. Stay with us.
Alpha TV, The Higher Life is here. Watch your favorite movies.
Hi, Dimitri.
Kiddie shows, live TV channels, and many more. Anywhere, anytime on your device. With a unique emphasis on faith-based and family-oriented programming. Alpha TV is the place which points you to the higher life. Gain access to myriads of language channels available to family, friends, and loved ones in their native tongue.
Avete mai sentito dei cristiani che pregano grazie Padre dopo che hanno pregato per aver risposto a queste preghiere mediante Gesù Cristo nostro Signore? Amen.
Get this amazing entertainment on the Loveworld App Store, the Google Play Store, and the Apple Store, and begin to live the higher life. Watch Alpha TV in just 4 easy steps. Step 1, select your package. Step 2, create your login details. Step 3, set up your payment. Step 4, start watching. It's simpler than you think with more perks than you can imagine. Explore the latest news on LN24 International, Bible classics, language-specific stations, and so much more. Get Alpha TV. Watch now. The higher life is here.
In a bid to halt the escalating violence in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, known as DRC, leaders from Eastern and Southern Africa have united in calling for immediate and unconditional ceasefire. The summit, which included prominent figures such as Rwanda President Paul Kagame and South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, stressed the urgency of direct negotiations involving all parties, particularly the M23 rebels, who are believed to have the support of Rwanda. The ongoing conflict has claimed nearly 3,000 lives and displaced hundreds of thousands, with the M23 rebels threatening to overthrow the DRC government. The summit's key message was the prioritization of dialogue over military interventions, with leaders urging the withdrawal of foreign forces and a consolidation of peace processes. In addition, the leaders called for the reopening of Goma's airport and the creation of humanitarian corridors to provide vital aid to those affected by the conflict. Kenyan President William Ruto emphasized the importance of a ceasefire in fostering the necessary conditions for constructive dialogue, which would lay the groundwork for a sustainable and comprehensive peace agreement. Watch this.
The escalating conflict and deteriorating situation in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo are a grave concern to the people and governments of East Africa. Noting the worsening humanitarian crisis exacerbated by ongoing military actions, including the closure of airspace in Goma, I call for the immediate and unconditional cessation of hostilities. I emphasize the obligation of all parties to facilitate humanitarian access to affected populations and urge both sides to pursue peaceful means to resolving this tragic conflict. These alarming developments, coupled with rising diplomatic tensions in the region, underscore the urgent need for peaceful resolution to a conflict that continues to inflict untold suffering on the people, particularly women and children. As the current chair of the East African Community, Kenya is aware of the region's critical responsibility in de-escalating violence and facilitating dialogue between the parties involved. We confirm and firmly believe that a sustainable solution can only be achieved through engagement, constructive dialogue, and a renewed commitment to peace. I call on the parties to the Luanda process on Eastern DRC and appeal specifically to my brothers.
The Nigerian government is actively negotiating with local communities to restart oil production in the Ogoniland region following Shell's $2.4 billion sale of its onshore operations in the country. Shell's exit marks the end of nearly a century of operations in the Niger Delta and a region that has long been plagued by environmental degradation due to oil extraction. In the Ogoni region, where Shell suspended operations in 1993 after violent protests over their environmental impact and human rights concerns. Government officials see restarting oil production as a means to boost foreign exchange earnings. Despite concerns about environmental damage and many Ogoni support resuming production, according to Lidum Miti, a prominent environmental activist. The sale of Shell's assets to local companies was displayed amidst protests by activists and communities demanding that Shell address the environmental damage first. The terms of the sale include any measures to address the ongoing contamination from past oil spills remain unclear. However, activists are calling for further dialogue and consultation with local communities to ensure that the resumption of oil activities align with environmental safeguards and local interests. Just before we end the news, a quick look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. And to end the news today, a quick recap of the headlines. Philadelphia Eagles win Super Bowl 59, fans celebrate in the streets. President Trump fields Super Bowl interview and declares February 9th Golf of America Day. Democrats threaten government shutdown over Trump administration's agency overhaul. China to implement retaliatory tariffs as U.S.-China trade tensions escalate. African leaders call for immediate ceasefire in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. And that's the news for today. Join us same time tomorrow for more news. I'm Barbara Sam. Good night and God bless you.